You guys may have noticed the absence of YouTube videos and Twitch streams lately. Well, this week I was on vacation, and I had a really actually good time on vacation despite being busy with other things. I had a conversation with some friends on my vacation that sparked today's video topic, so that's kind of cool. Backstory. Tuesday night, I went out with some friends. We went to go grab some dinner, and these are friends that I've had for a long time, people that I know. They're into Pokemon Go. These friends that I had dinner with are regular Pokemon Go players and competitive Pokemon Go players. They spend at least $150 a month each on the game. That's just their hobby, it's what they like to do, it's what gets them off at night. Up at, what? I don't even know what I just said. That's not dirty though. Anyway, they ordered pasta, me and a couple other guys ordered pizza, really good cheese, really good pizza, and then we got talking about the Digimon card game, because I know I've been into it lately and what I thought about it, and one of the other guys was interested in getting into the Digimon card game, and he's heard from the grapevine, he does his research, that he believes the objective best deck in the format right now is Lord Nightmon, and if he wants to get into the card game, he only wants to do the objectively best stuff, which means obviously just buying the best deck and going from there, which I kind of get, right? He just wants to have the best results, so well, why not buy a good deck? Anyway, so I showed him the prices of the deck, and Lucemon aside, because the deck I showed him didn't have Lucemon in it, the deck I showed him had 3 Pulsemons in it, and he says, oh geez, Canadian dollars, that's like $200 almost for 3 cards, and I'm like, that's true. So it came down to a conversation. Well, would I rather spend the $200 on Pokemon Go this month, or would I rather spend the $200 on Digimon? Well, guess what he chose? Didn't choose the Pulsemons. So that brings me to today's topic, the promo card discussion. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn the notification bell on the smashed potatoes. That way you know when all these amazing Digimon videos come out. One disclaimer before we start. This is not a one-size-fits-all video, because there are some people that just don't really care about spending this much money on card games. Like, obviously, me, other people. A lot of people play Lord Nightmon with Pulsemons, right? A lot of people play Diaboromon with promo Diaboromons. But this will really resonate on the people that comment on my videos every week, market watches and whatever, being like, oh, these promos are really expensive. I don't know why anyone would buy these, or I can't buy these promos, or, it'll fit those people better. So it's no shock that Bandai is using the promotional cards to kind of drive events, drive participation, drive sales, right? Like they used Pulsemon to drive their BT4 pre-release, they used Diaboromon and the promo Angelomon to fuel their tournaments, tournament pack tournaments and all that. And then other promos here and there, like the Gomamon that people play in Hexablow and stuff like that. It's no shock that Bandai is trying to get people playing the game, and they're giving these promos out to reward people for playing the game. Promos that you can only get through these particular outlets, right? Because they don't come in just regular starter decks or booster boxes. Now, it's much cheaper to obtain the promos if you get them the way of playing in a tournament or going to a pre-release for the Pulsemons. It's way cheaper than buying the individual singles, right? In most cases, like, no one wants to spend $50, $60 on a Pulsemon. Nobody wants to spend $80 to $100 on a Diaboromon, right? It's obviously usually made a lot easier if people just go to the tournaments, go to the events, pay for the events, get the cards, and it's a cheaper way to do it, as opposed to, buying the singles. Now, before I talk on Digimon specifically, it's always good to have comparisons, different views from different angles. So we're going to talk about some other card games and what they've done in regards to exclusive promos and whatever, and just see how they've adapted and what's going on. And then again, this is just for the data, this is just so we have something to compare Digimon to for the sake of the discussion. Let's start with Yu-Gi-Oh! So, back in the day, this really started when Yu-Gi-Oh! Had Shonen Jump Championships, and the prize was a Crush Card virus. I didn't play back then, but people who played back then told me having Crush Card in your deck was a serious competitive advantage, and it was very expensive for that reason. Eventually, down the road, it was so strong that Konami reprinted it in a gold series, and then they banned it from play because it was just too strong. So they gave some people a little bit of time to play it, and then it was gone, just like that. So that's what they did for that. And since then, there hasn't been a powerhouse tournament promo since. To clarify, once Konami took over, they had tournaments called YCSs, Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series. And for like a year, the winner or second place, or if you won certain events in the tournament, you'd get that prize card. And it'd be the same prize card for a year, they'd rotate and whatever. The only prize card in recent history that was good was the Chaos Dragon Emperor of Armageddon. There was a very small amount of people who thought that the Chaos Thunder Dragon deck at that time in 2019, it was tier 1, and you really wanted a copy of the card to maximize its playability. And that was on the time that Ruggles actually started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, and both of us were thinking about actually buying a copy of the card each to play in the deck, because we were also on the thought train, and that small thought train that it was the best deck, and that card just made it better. But besides that, there hasn't been any YCS big tournament promos that really impacted the meta in any way that would put you at a serious disadvantage if you didn't have. So, with the exception of Crush Card Virus at the start of the game, basically, almost, and the Chaos Dragon, it's been pretty okay. Pokemon is kind of in a similar boat. At one point, they had a promo called Tropical Beach. It was a stadium that said you can draw up to 7 cards in your hand, but then your turn ends. And that was a pretty good card, but that wasn't a card that was mandatory for decks. It was nice, it was cool, but it was just, nobody really needed it. It wasn't a big deal. If you had it, that's kind of cool, great, but wasn't a requirement at all. And besides that, no tournament promos, no hard to get promos like that are tier 1 groundbreaking, nothing. And I don't think Magic has done anything like that. Like, all their cards have been released in sets. Magic's a really expensive game, but in terms of you can only get these promo cards by going to these tournaments, and you need these tournaments and these cards to play the game at the tier 1 highest level, none of that. None of that, as far as I know anyway. So now that we covered the big 3, let's go back to Bandai here for a second. So Bandai has a history of doing stuff like this in Dragon Ball Super already. Tournament pack promos, dash pack promos, promos that are really good for certain decks, including tier 1 play. So they've done this before, and they're doing it again with Digimon. I think the worst part about it is that the promos aren't necessarily for tier 1 decks in all cases. Sure, Pulsemon is. Pulsemon's insane. Take something like the tournament pack Diboromon, or Gomamon, which you play in Hexablow, the promo that came out at the start of the game. You know, those are for tier 2 decks, right? Fun decks. In order to play fun decks, you need to have these promos. Or let's go back a format ago. Dan Devimon, where you needed the tournament pack Devimon and the power-up pack Devimon. Who remembers that deck being ridiculously expensive for most reason? At one point in time, it was the most expensive deck in the game because of those promos. And it was tier 2 at best. If you wanted to play Green OTK, you needed to have 4 Grand Kuwagamons, and you had to have 4 power-up promo Palmons. And the Palmons were really expensive. The Grand Kuwagamons not so much, but they were also promos. Now that all that's being said, what do we think Bandai is going to be doing in the future? Like, what's the plan? Is Bandai just going to keep doing this, sprinkling really good promos here and there to force people to go to tournaments, go to events, or pay ridiculous price to get the promos if they can't? But that's also one of the big issues too, right? It's not so much that people don't want to go to the tournaments, it's that they can't because maybe their store doesn't have those tournaments. Maybe they can't physically go to a store or play online at a remote duel tournament because of scheduling, the store itself, distance, whatever. Some people just cannot play in the tournaments with these promos. They can't do it. So that's creating a salty taste in some people's mouth. I'll give props to Bandai, though, for something they did quite recently, actually. You guys remember how Pulsemon was the pre-release promo for Set 4. Well, they made it so that Alternate Art Chimeramon was the pre-release promo for Set 5. That's cool. Why is that cool? Because it wasn't a mandatory requirement anymore to get that promo, because Chimeramon's already existed since the start of the game, right? Sure, you can get the nice alternate art max rarity version of Chimeramon by going. You know, that's cool and all that. People still play Chimeramon in the meta, so that's nice. You know, it wasn't a brand new card, right? It wasn't something new, something needed for competitive play. It was an alternate art reprint that you technically never have to get. So I think Bandai might have learned from BT4, and maybe they won't do this again. Or maybe they will. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea. We also know that there are 2 Pulsemons that exist, right? 2 arts for the same Pulsemon. We have 1 art. We know that Bandai can release the second art of Pulsemon however they want to release it, right? We don't know how they're going to do it. People are speculating, oh, it'll be BT6 promo or this and that, whatever, you know? But, you know, Bandai does have an outlet to do something nice with Pulsemon and stick it somewhere. But are the promos going to stop cold turkey, like promos you need for decks? I don't think so. I think tournament packs are going to continue. I think that these tournament packs are going to have cards you need for certain decks. And dash pack promos, we know Bandai really likes their dash packs and all that. I'm sure we'll see this again at some point in the future. Maybe BT6, maybe later. Who knows? I don't know. I'm sure they're not done with the promos. I'm sure it's going to keep going. And, you know, Dragon Ball Super has survived this long, and they're still doing promos like this. So I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. I think Bandai knows what they're doing. I think this is their way to get people to play tournaments, way to get people to buy product. And I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon because it's good for the game. It's good for the bottom line of Bandai. And that's it. That's what you need to play the game, right? If Bandai isn't profiting, they're not going to make the game. Now, at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that there are like two types of people, right? There are the people that don't care. There are the people that'll have a playset of Pulsemon, a playset of Diaboromon, a playset of Gomamon, and any other promo because they want to have the cards because they want to play the game. And this is their hobby, and money is no object. For whatever reason. You know, maybe it's collectability or they just want to play the game. Whatever. There are those people that put no price on the object. And then there are some people, the other side of the coin, who just won't buy it. Because they can't afford it. And you got the budget players, and to be fair, there are other decks that are just as expensive as Yellow Lord Nightmon that don't have promos. Take Security Control, for example. Security Control typically can play 4 Omnimon's worth defeat. It's something that deck regularly does now, right? And those are almost as much as Pulsemon's. Some weeks they're more, some weeks they're less. So you need 4 of those to play the deck, but nobody's really complaining about it, right? I don't think the main issue is the price. I think it's a combination of things. The fact that in order to play some decks, you need to get some promos, and it isn't helping the fact that these promos are expensive. It's definitely a combination of both things, and people all the time tell me that this is an issue. Technically, it is bad news for some people. It is bad news for some people. I personally don't care. A lot of other people don't really care because they have the income to be able to do this and not matter. Maybe they're a sponsored player by a bigger team manager or whoever, and they get all the cards for free anyway, so they don't care. Because they've made it. Who knows? Whatever. So it depends on who you are. It depends on what side of the coin you are. Like, I definitely don't care, but I do sympathize with people that are affected by this. Because they really want to play Lord Nightmon, and they really want to get into the game, but they're deciding to play Pokemon Go instead. Or whatever other hobby you might have. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Do you think this is a problem? Are you on the fence that doesn't care? Do you think it's fine? Do you think it's healthy for the game? Do you think it's destructive for the game? Let me know all about it in the comment section below. I love reading that stuff and interacting with it. Let me know what you guys think. And we're out of here. See ya.